There we go. Okay, so I'm live on YouTube and Facebook right now. It's a weird time for me to be on here. I have just before I've got an appointment with a client, so I won't be on for a long time today. Anyway, if you have any parenting questions, people are just filtering in slow but sure. But if you have any parenting questions, now's the time to ask. It can get busy, and so I don't get to all the questions usually. But I'm not usually on at this time, so let's see who turns up. So, parenting questions, if you have any, I'm listening. Who says that? I'm listening. Oh, that was Frasier on the show Frasier. He said, I'm listening on his radio show as a psychiatrist, if you don't know that show. Anyway, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I don't have time to take everyone these days. And don't email me your parenting questions. I won't even look at them. I don't have time. So yeah, I'm just really busy these days. So I'm busy serving my clients, and they're obviously my top priority. So, but anyway, and that's it. So if you have any parenting questions, this is where I answer all the questions, by the way. I'm on here every day. This is all my free answering questions. So yeah, on email. Sometimes people will send me like a book about their kids. I don't read that. So anyway. Okay, so what are your parenting questions? If you have any. While I'm waiting, I'll just tell you this cute story. I tell it every day. I thought it was the cutest thing. Client last week, have an 8-year-old little girl. Anyway, she is very much in charge. You know, she knows that she's been the boss, and that's why they hired me. Now they're starting to lead. So anyway, she's not too thrilled with this. So in week 2, she said to her parents, because she knows that they've hired me, and I always say to explain, we've hired a teacher. She teaches parenting. It's called a parenting coach. So that's why we're doing this. So she says to her parents, you guys are wonderful parents. You don't need that lady. And then she tore down the behavior board. They put it back up and kept doing it. But isn't that the cutest thing? She buttered her parents up to get rid of me. It didn't work. But anyway, isn't that the cutest thing? Yeah, we got a good chuckle out of that. 7-year-old boy not getting his way, what to do? Check out my boot camp course. That's all about you and your leadership. You lead, they will follow. It just means that he's in charge. You want to be in charge. He's a child. He needs a leader. That should be you. Okay, so look at the boot camp course. That's the best thing I've got on offer from that age, 3 to 12 years old. You can just try the behavior board on your own. It's free. See, you don't have to sign up for the course. It's only going to get you so far. The boot camp is, of course, it's a lot more extensive. But anyway, so check that out if you're interested. It's just your lack of leadership. Their behavior is 100% a direct result of your parenting from the ages of 3 to 12 years old. 100% their behavior. You never want to fool with their basic nature or their basic personality, but their behavior, how they treat people, how they feel about themselves, their high self-esteem, etc. That's on you. And your goal as a leader, I teach leadership parenting. I just made that term up. I don't know. Anyway, so, but I teach leadership parenting, and your goal is to have kids that like themselves. Kids who like themselves tend to respect people. They're proud of themselves. They make good choices. So your goal is to have children who like themselves and and have very high self-esteem. That is your goal as a leader. It's not about well-behaved kids. That will happen organically. Your focus is their self-esteem. And you get high self-esteem and you're the source of that, their behavior is golden. Okay, 5-year-old boy with ADHD and ODD. ODD is not a medical diagnosis. Gets sent home from daycare often for being violent. Sorry, it just flipped ahead here. Okay, just a sec. Violent several times a week. Yeah, you got to work on that. I would suggest if you're at that level, they're getting kicked out of daycare, you might want to hire me for coaching. Yeah. Anyway, or check out the boot camp course. That might be all you need. But that's kind of in the red zone when they're getting kicked out of school. Sorry. When they're getting kicked out of school, I'm going to turn my alarm off just a sec. Okay, where is it? Sorry, I just had to turn my alarm off. Alexa, set 30-minute timer. I've got a client appointment I don't want to forget about. Anyway, yeah, if they're getting sent home from school, that's kind of in the red zone. That's where I put that. That's usually coaching. Yeah, we want to set you up as a leader. I worked with all these kids with ADHD. ODD is oppositional defiant disorder. It was just a term made up by doctors to make moms feel better and less guilty. That's what doctors have told me. So it's not a real thing. It just means that you're not a leader. That's all it means. And we're never fixing kids here. we are teaching parents. You set yourself up as a leader and the behavior takes care of itself. It's just the way it is. Everyone wants to blame their kids for their bad behavior. You've got to look in the mirror and say, I'm obviously not doing things right. I'm going to fix this. You take responsibility for your children's behavior. If you're going to pass the buck and blame your children, you're never going to get results. When people hire me now, they've been watching me long enough. They say, I know it's us, I know, but here's what's going on to give you an idea. And all I do is I look at what the kid's doing. It tells me what you're doing. So then I work on you. I don't work with kids. I work with you. So, yeah. And I managed to get respect with hundreds of kids that I worked with. Now, they all were alphabet kids, ADHD, WXYZ. And I managed to get respect with all of them. Was it them or was it me? Did I just luck out that day and they felt like respecting someone, or was I a leader? And I know how to get respect, right? You lead, they will follow. It's natural. Children instinctively look to a leader. They're searching it out. If you're not a leader for your children, they're very vulnerable out there in the world because they're going to go looking for a leader elsewhere if you're not a leader at home. That's why it's so important for you to be a leader. If you're not a leader, you send them out in the world, they're going to be very susceptible to peer pressure, bullying, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. You get the idea? They're vulnerable because they need a leader and you're not that. So they're going to go elsewhere to find it. And they often kick up a storm. Maybe that's why your kid's getting kicked out of daycare. He's screaming for leadership. No one's doing it. And it's not the daycare's responsibility. It's your responsibility. He's 5 years old. It's your responsibility to lead, not the daycare. You should be sending well-behaved children to school, to daycare past the age of 3. Under that, they're kind of nuts anyway. But 3 and above, it's your job to have your children's behavior in check so that when you send them off to school or wherever, other people don't have to deal with bad behavior. Take full responsibility for your children's behavior. That's very empowering. Okay, I'm not blaming, I'm empowering you. It is your responsibility to check their behavior. That's your job. The only reason you're not doing it is because you don't know how. That's what I'm here for. I'm teaching you how to do that. Check out my boot camp course. It's 5 weeks to get respect. It's about your leadership, not about your kids. It's about you. Okay, my daughter is a picky eater. She gets healthy veggies, but I want her to be diverse. Okay, well, I can't discuss that. I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor, but I'll tell you what I did with my kids. It's a little bit radical, but I'll just tell you what I did. I'm really a health food nut and really into fitness and health and all that. So I'm more so now, but even when my kids were little, I was too, more, not as much as I am now. But anyway, I just made everything from scratch and I never had junk food in the house. Like if the kids didn't eat what I put in front of them, and I cooked to their taste buds too. I was pretty good about that. I didn't want to force food on kids when they didn't like it. So I kind of cooked around their taste buds and I would mix it up that way. Also, I was very sneaky. I would put pureed spinach into everything, or pureed seeds, or whatever I was doing. I always snuck healthy stuff into everything. So they may have thought they were getting cheese sauce, but there was a whole bunch of other stuff in there. So that's one thing I did, mixing. And also, I never made a big deal out of meals. I'd say you have to try everything, but you don't have to eat it. My kids knew if they didn't eat what I put in front of them, and I was very respectful of their taste buds. If they didn't eat what was put in front of them, there was no potato chips or ice cream in the house waiting for them. We didn't have junk food in the house. So they just learned to eat healthy. Then they went through the teenage years and did the fast food, that kind of stuff. They all seem to go through that stage. Be more diverse and making sure she's eating everything. Yeah, okay. Okay, you said last night that if you're too busy for coaching, you may not respond to emails about wanting to get coaching. That's true. If we don't hear back from you, should we try again a couple of weeks later, or does that work? No, it's saved. I've got them all saved. I will get back to you eventually. But if you don't hear from me for a week or two, then, yeah. I don't know. I haven't got a real system for that because every day it's different. I might get 20 people wanting to hire me one day, and then I might get 2 the next, and I can't take anybody on. I never know, right? But I will get to it eventually, so don't worry about it. Like right now, actually, it's in my to-do list. Answer all emails. I'm going to try and get to that today. So it's right there. Honest, it's right there. I wrote it down. 6-year-old son, how can I train or help him reflect on his behavior at school? You want him to reflect on his behavior? Oh, geez. I don't do that. I don't know what you mean by that. And also, how can I train or stimulate him to have intrinsic motivation. I think you're on the wrong page. I don't talk like that. That's not me at all. So yeah, I don't know who you're reflecting there with your comments. Like I don't talk like that. So, I'm never gonna relate to that. So yeah. Yeah, sorry, everyone's got different views on parenting. That's not something I would address. I don't want children to reflect on their behavior. Absolutely not. I won't go into it, but yeah, that's not me. Okay, that's what I was wondering. Thank you. Yeah, okay. I do have it on my to-do list. I even wrote it in a big marker. So I'm so determined to get to all the emails today because I feel bad about it, right? Also, what's happening is I haven't got as many other things on my plate right now, so I should be able to take on more coaching because sometimes I'm super busy with other stuff too. Anyway. Okay, I'll write down your name. I wrote it down with my big marker. You should see my systems. I'm very, I don't know how to explain it. I'm not OCD, but I could be considered close to that. What's the best way to handle a 20-month-old one who hits when told no right now? Okay, so when I actually have a course on that, toddlers who hit, it's very different from the tantrum course. When they hit during a tantrum, that's the tantrum course. If they just hit because they get mad at you and it's not a tantrum, that's the toddlers who hit course. Basically, what you do is you use consistent corrective actions. They are not about words. That's your language, not theirs. So what you do is you say just one word no to show that you're taking action, and then you just push their hand away, and then you just keep doing that, and then you can remove them from the fun or fun from them. You don't do timeout. I hate timeout. Just remove them from the fun and hold them away from it for 5 minutes or whatever. It's consistent corrective actions. Okay, what would you do for a 4-year-old that's constantly getting angry and hitting and trying to break stuff? I would look at the parents and say, work on your leadership skills. It's all about parents. Parents always want me to fix their kids. I don't do that. There's nothing wrong with kids. They're not broken. They are a reflection of your parenting. Fix your parenting, and then that would not happen. It just doesn't. When they look up to you like a mentor, like a leader, someone they really admire, and you make them feel good about themselves, they don't do any of that. They just don't. It would be embarrassing for them at 4. Maybe not so much right at 3 years old, but at 4, they should be past that by now. So yeah, it's all about you. I'm empowering you here. We're not fixing kids. They're not broken. They are a reflection of the parenting they're receiving. That's all it is. That's everything. I got respect from hundreds of kids I worked with, toddlers, kids, teenagers, and they were never easy. I was always no one ever said to me, here's an easy one, Lisa, because I was there to support teachers, and I was in hospitals I was there to support other people like professionals, or else I'd go into homes. I did get some clearance to do some work in homes supporting parents there. But basically, my job was always, it's not about the kids. It's never about the kids. How did I get respect with all those hundreds of kids? Was it just luck? No, I'm a leader. Anyone can learn this. Someone said to me the other day, they said, how'd they word it? They said, not everyone's meant to be a leader. Oh, I came back at them. It was in a comment, I think. And I said, yeah, anyone can learn how to lead children. But in my personal life, I'm very much a follower. I don't like leading. I don't want to decide where I'm going to go for dinner. I don't want to decide what I'm doing on the weekend. I want someone else to do all that. I hate it. Because I'm such a leader in my business and with kids. On my free time, I'm not a leader at all. It's not in my nature. I don't like planning and organizing stuff. I just hate it. I don't even like ordering off a menu. Can you just order my food for me? Like, I'm that bad. I'm very much a follower in my personal life. Yeah. But I only follow people I love and respect, right? I don't follow just anybody. But yeah, so anyone can learn this. Children need, if you're not a basic leader in your personal life, has nothing to do with children. Anyone can learn how to lead children because they need that. Your parents, they need that. You meet their needs, manage their wants. Discipline is the managing their wants. But their need is a leader. They need, crave, and want a leader. Every single troubled teen I've ever worked with has said this to me. I wish my parents were tougher on me growing up, in different words. They don't want it now, by the way. It's too late. You can't be tough on a teenager. There's different ways of dealing with that. That's coaching. I don't have a course on that. Not yet. But anyway, yeah, they all identify discipline equals love. Discipline, leadership is part of it. But I lead with connecting and bonding with children first, and then the discipline. Anyway. What about bad behavior at school? Do I talk about it? Generally, if you're a leader at home, they don't act out at school. They just don't. But we can sort of work on that. Like you can say, if they're 3 and above, put it on the behavior board. If they're hitting at school, you can put down no hitting, and then you work on it at home. But you have to have the daycare or the teacher tell you, by the way, he hit today, and then you deal with it at home. But yeah, everything starts and ends at home. Everything. When you're a leader at home, they don't act out at school. Why would they? They'd have to face the music, face you. They'd be embarrassed. A good example of this was my son, and he was a teenager. It's kind of the same thing, is because they respected me, and I respected them too. You got to give respect to get it. So one of his classmates said to him, he was about 16, and one of his classmates said to him, "Would you ever break the law?" And my son said, "Are you kidding me? I'd be terrified my mom would get to me before the police would." Now, it's not fear-based. He would have been humiliated to face me because he respected me. So that's your power, is the respect. You give respect to get it. It's very powerful. Think about it this way. Have you ever had a teacher or a coach that you looked up to? Would you ever be rude to that person? It would be embarrassing, wouldn't it? You kind of want to please them. They bring out the best in you. Leaders bring out the best in their children. It gets easier. I've worked with one woman called herself a dish rag. She goes, "I've always been a dish rag. Everyone walks all over me." And I said, "Well, that ends today." And anyway, and she did really well, like really well with this coaching. Funny thing is that once she got good at leading her children, her personal life changed too. She felt empowered. She didn't know she could do that. Anyway, okay, I got to move over to, what time is it? Yeah, I got to move over now to Instagram. If you want to join me there, it's Bratbusters Parenting on Instagram, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Okay, so happy parenting. Check out the link above. Free behavior board, mini toddler courses, big boot camp course, and you can look into coaching. I don't always have time to take people on, but you can look into it, and you can email me if you're interested. Sorry, YouTube, I just have to push button after button after button. Wish there was an automatic way to do this. Nope, don't allow. Okay, so this is Instagram. Okay, so this is Elizabeth on YouTube. No question, but I just want to let you know, oh, okay, I love your content and started acting like a leader about 4 months ago. And most importantly, kept my word. It's 100% working. My twins love to be led. You see, are they happier? Not only are you happier when you're a leader, but your kids are happier. Oh, I didn't ask permission. I had a really, really good session with clients yesterday. And unfortunately, I didn't ask permission to share their story. Usually I don't tell names, obviously, but I didn't ask permission. But yeah, when you're a leader, you're happier, but more importantly, your kids are happier, right? Everyone's happier when you're a leader. It's not about the old-fashioned dictator or authority. That's not what I do at all. Your kid, not only are you happier as a leader because your kids all of a sudden respect you and you respect them too, they're happier. Everyone's happier. So it's not all rose petals and that. Pretty much so. It's pretty easy. Okay. Getting respect is hard work. Maintaining it's easy. Okay. Sorry, I was just sort of talking to YouTube there. Anyway, welcome to my live. This is on Instagram now and YouTube at the same time. And my name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. That's 5 weeks to set you up as a leader, 3 to 12 years old, or you can hire me for coaching. But I don't always have time to take people on. So you can send me an email. And if you are in crisis, if you're a past client, you'll be flagged anyway. So you take priority because a lot of people rehire me because different things come up over the years, right? So if you're a past client, I will take you in pretty much as soon as possible. Or if you write crisis in the subject line, and every day, a 4-year-old having a tantrum every day is not crisis. Crisis is life and death stuff, okay? With teenagers usually. If that's, they'll take top priority over my existing clients or past clients. So yeah, if it's in crisis, put that in the subject line, but it has to be life and death crisis work, okay? I actually specialize in that with, that's how I started my business, with crisis teamwork. Teenagers are my favorite age. Okay. Does the boot camp cover things like the tantrum course? It's a little bit of each course in that, except some toddler stuff. No, 3 years old, anything that was in the tantrum course will be addressed. Of course, tantrums are addressed in that course. Of course they are. Okay. Yeah, I've put a little bit of whatever you need to hear from those toddler courses will be in the boot camp course. Maybe not quite as extensive like bedtime. Maybe I don't go into that as much. I just looked at that the other day. It's not quite as extensive, but I do go into it. Does the course help with kids that are 4 and 5? It's 3 to 12 years old. That's when you're at the height of your leadership skills. Or your leadership power, sorry. But that is when they are looking to you for pretty much everything. They're looking to you for guidance. They're going to tell you everything, and they're going to want to run everything by you because they want to please you. That's normal for a child to want to please a leader. Teenagers, not so much. You don't want that. You want them to want to please themselves more. You want them to be a bit more independent with that, but they'll come to you with the big stuff, and they'll still tell you everything. That's what a leader's like. You become a sounding board. You're a safe place to land. You're not judgmental. You're there to support them. And they get that. So they'll tell you everything right through the teen years. I'll tell you. I didn't want to hear everything, but I did. Yeah. Okay, what's a consequence for a 3-year-old who calls names on the behavior board? You put on the behavior board no name calling or no bad words. You can use either one of those. Name calling you can say is a bad word anyway, and then just do a chore. Don't overthink the consequence. It's not that important. It's the fact that you do it. It's usually a chore. It's like, and it doesn't even matter. It doesn't have to be a big deal. So they name call, and then you say, okay, so your chore is you have to sweep the kitchen floor, or you have to clean up the shoe cubby at the front door. Or I don't know, clean one window, get some vinegar out and something safe. Just use like a microfiber and water thing so they're not having Windex up their nostrils. So then just clean one window. You always put down within 5 minutes or 10 minutes of being asked to do so. So there's a time limit on it. You don't just say, okay, your consequence is you have to clean the window, and then they never do it. So it has to be within 10 minutes of being asked to do so. Now's a good time. I'm going to start the timer. Okay. Then you just wait for it to be done. So. And then if it isn't done, then you resort to the other consequence. You always start with a positive action. If they won't do it, which is fine, then you have a negative deprivation. You take something away. It's usually 24-hour media blackout, but there's lots of different things. Some parents, I've worked with families who don't even have any screens, like none. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? I can hardly grasp that. They say, no, we don't have any screens. So we find something else that the kids love that we can take away for 24 hours. And you never take away anything comforting, like a teddy bear that they love. You never take away a favorite blanket or nothing comforting, but something that they love playing with. That's different. And once you've said that, okay, so you didn't clean the window, the timer's up, 10 minutes is up, you didn't clean the window, so now it's 24-hour media blackout. Okay, I'll clean the window now. A lot of parents buckle, and the kid will run and clean the window, and then you buckle and say, okay, no media blackout. And what I would say you don't have to do that now because you've got the 24-hour media blackout. But if they still run and do it because they're trying to manipulate you, you see, they figure if they can get to that window and clean it, then you're going to go back on your word because you're not a leader, right? That's what they're thinking. They wouldn't do that with me. They'd know that once I've said it, it's going to happen. So once you've said that 24-hour media blackout, so they run and clean the window, and then they say, okay, no 24-hour blackout because I cleaned the window. Say, well, it's already been 5 minutes in. So remember I said 24-hour media blackout. I said it. It's happening. And then shut it down. Don't discuss it. But not fair. I didn't know. Well, you'll know next time, won't you? I hate you. I hate you. Whatever. Like, don't let that phase you. Don't get pulled into that stuff. That's your biggest problem with parents I see all the time. They get pulled into explaining and defending themselves. But you know that we love you anyway. And we know, we didn't want to do this, but you had, they get in this defensive mode. And the kids, they just go for the blood. They know. They go for your artery at that point. They sense your weakness. Whereas if you just go, whatever, and just follow through, then they learn. They only argue, especially from the age of 4, especially 3.5 to 4, kids only do what works. That's why whenever parents say they argue with me all the time, and I say guaranteed it must work sometimes, and they'll admit, oh, yes, it does, of course. Kids only do what works. They're not stupid like us. I know I'm really bad at this. I do the same thing repeatedly, expecting different results. Kids don't. If something stops working, they move on, usually just to better behavior, because that works, right? 4-year-old doesn't like his 2-year-old brother and never has. They struggle to get along basically ever. What can I do? Is this normal? Oh, it's completely normal. Yeah. Especially at 2-year-olds, they're annoying as anything, right? So 4-year-olds are thinking, what the heck do I want with this thing? But what you do to encourage sibling friendships and all that, and just even just getting along, basically, is you play with them. You never do one-on-one time. If kids don't get along, never do one-on-one time. It builds resentment and it builds hate. But you can do it if they get along. It doesn't matter. But if they're not getting along, never do one-on-one time with your kids. Do everything like with the both of them. And play to the weakest link. Do something the 2-year-old could do. Look up fun activities to do with toddlers. And just look up silly stuff. Never anything competitive. But it's just silly things. Like you can act out scenes from your favorite movie. Stuff with my kids and I used to do that all the time. I talk a lot about stuff in coaching that I don't mention here. Yeah, because I don't know. It's just different. Plus, I tell everyone different stories. I tell a lot of the same stuff, but I tell everyone different. I tell stories that I think would benefit that particular family. Everyone's different, right? Okay, 3-year-old always asks me to help him calm down, but nothing I do actually helps. What should I do? He's like pulling you in. Help me calm down. I go, well, that's none of my, oh, I don't quite know what you mean by that. Is he tantruming? Like, what is it? He didn't get his own way. Now he's having a fit, and now he wants you to calm him down. So it's your fault. Yeah, I don't do that. But I don't know if he's having a tantrum. If he's having a tantrum, you completely ignore that. Ask you to help calm down. He's trying to pull you in. He's trying to make you part of it. I don't get involved in that. It's up to them to process the word no. Like, it's up to them mentally to learn how to process not getting their own way. I don't interfere in that. It's none of my business. Allow their brain to process without your interference. All this garbage about helping kids self-regulate, it's just crap. It's absolute garbage. Yeah, they have to learn. So what I would do, it's a very specific way of doing it. Let's say they're having a tantrum. This is me. I look like I'm waiting for a bus. I don't look at them or talk to them. As soon as they finish, I go, oh, y'all done? Okay, do you want to go to the park? I ignore the crazy and reward the calm. That's their business. They're learning how to process, I don't like what's just happened, and I'm going to kick a fit up, hoping I get my own way. If you interfere in that, it's going to take them longer to learn how to regulate themselves. You can't help someone self-regulate. They have to learn how to do it themselves, and they're watching you. They're not listening to you. They're watching you. So yeah, here's me. I look like I'm waiting for a bus. I'm looking at the birds in the trees while they're tantruming. But as soon as they're done, oh, you all done? You want to read a book? I ignore the crazy, reward the calm. You know what happens? They stop doing the crazy, and they go into the calm. Like they just learn. I've worked with so many kids who've done this and who tantrumed with me. And parents are shocked at how quickly they get over their tantrum with me because I ignore it. But they get to know me. They get to know that, oh, wait, as soon as I shut up, she's going to read me a book. You see, I reward the calm. I reward the fact that they've learned how to regulate themselves. You cannot help someone else self-regulate. Doesn't make any sense. Oh, these mini therapy sessions. Oh, it's just garbage. It's absolute garbage. Toddlers don't need a therapy session. Okay, they need leadership. They need physical messages that this isn't working. I get ignored when I'm acting crazy and mad and not getting my own way. I get ignored, but as soon as I stop, all of a sudden I get all this love and attention. So which way are they going to go? Are they going to, if you give them wherever you give them attention is what's going to grow. Whatever you focus on grows. If you're doing mini therapy sessions during tantrums, you're fertilizing them. They're growing. Okay. What time is it? Oops, I'm gonna have to move over soon to TikTok. Okay, I try ignoring temper tantrums, but 5-year-old hits me. Okay. You physically restrain them when they get violent. So when they get physical, they hit themselves, hit someone else, or damage property. You say no, and then you physically restrain, hold them like that for a minute or whatever, and then look away. You don't look at them or talk to them. You just say no, and you hold them at 5 years old. Yeah, I wonder what else is going on. They usually stop tantrums by about 3.5 to 4, if you're a leader. So yeah, they only do what works past that age. And if they're still having tantrums at 5, it means they must work. They must work. They have to. Unless there's some cognitive issues with your child, they don't do anything that doesn't work. They just stop doing it. So, okay, I got to move over to TikTok now. And yeah, so anyway, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, and 3 to 12 years old. It's all about you and your leadership skills. Or you can look into coaching. I can't always take everyone on if I don't get back to you. If you email me about coaching and I don't get back to you, you're in a queue. I'll get back to you when I'm able to. But if you're in crisis, usually it's life and death teenage stuff is usually what crisis work is in my business, obviously. So then you put crisis in the subject line. And crisis is not a 4-year-old having tantrums every single day. People will do that. Yeah, that's not crisis. It's life and death stuff. So that's my top priority. I'll take you on pretty much guaranteed right away if you're in serious crisis work, because that's my specialty is teen crisis. And not many people specialize in that. So I can't turn my back on that at all. I used to specialize in it. And yeah, so anyway. And then, oh yeah, that was it. That's all I have to say. So bye. I'm moving over to TikTok now, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Take care. Happy parenting. Now, this is the most buttons I have to push. It's going from Instagram to TikTok. TikTok's changed. They start with ads now, so I have to get past that. Okay. Okay. That was a big Instagram number for this time of day. That was interesting. Okay, I'm going to look at my, message retracted. Now I want to know what you had put in there. Okay, so this is Shay. How do you handle running away? 4-year-old gets mad, upset, and runs away. You mean when you're out and about? Put a harness on them and clip them in when they try and run. But if they just run away, I'd still clip them in. If it's out in public, you got to keep them alive, right? It's like you clip them into a car seat. You got to clip them into a harness and hold on to them if they're going to run. So they get mad and they take off. Yeah, clip them in. And you got to keep them clipped in for the rest of that outing. It's going to get ugly, by the way, but it's worth it. You get it for every rainbow. There has to be a storm. So you got to be willing to go through that storm to get to the rainbow. Everyone wants the rainbow. Yeah, but Lisa, how do I get good behavior? Oh, you're ready to go through the storm? Because that's what it's going to take. They're going to fight you back. If you were not a leader before, and now all of a sudden you're exercising leadership skills, kids usually get worse before they get better. Not always, but usually they get worse because they think, oh, you want to be a leader? Good luck with that. And they usually fight back harder. And that's okay. Be prepared for that. It's part of the process. Okay. Welcome to my TikTok. I just came from Facebook and then Instagram, and now I'm on TikTok, but the whole time I'm on YouTube while I'm doing lives. Except last night, my internet was breaking up. Full disclosure here, I didn't pay my bill. The provider had sold to another provider, and there was some outstanding amount that didn't get put into my automatic payments. And they kept giving me warnings that I had to pay this extra $100 or something for the transfer over. I don't know. I kept ignoring it. You know what I did? It was Sunday morning, I think. I got this message that said, if you don't pay this today, we're shutting you down. And they did. They shut down my internet. I paid it so fast. But I thought it's all automatic payments. Why can't they just take it out of my, I just got lazy. So it's all my fault. So it was affecting last night's live. And on the YouTube, it kept glitching. So that's why I don't think I'll even post that live. Stupid me. Oh, it's funny. I'm a procrastinator, and procrastinators like to call themselves perfectionists because, I don't want to do anything till it's perfect. I've never really done that. I always said, I'm just lazy. If I don't like doing something, I get lazy with it. Anyway. I just got a message from my daughter-in-law. Drats. I want to look at that. I'll have to look at it later. I've got a new granddaughter, so. I just got all excited. I'll look at that after this. It's killing me not to look at that. Anyway. Yeah, she's only like 7 weeks old. It's actually harder. They live like about a 40-minute drive for me. So I maybe see her every couple of weeks. And as she's getting older, it's getting harder to not see her because they get more interesting. And I'm worried that she doesn't see enough of me. She'll make strange with me. So yeah. So I might check in, see if I can do a quick visit just on my own. Because we usually all turn up in a clump. The aunts, the uncle, my ex-husband, we all turn up in a clump. I'll see if I can just get in there. Alexa, stop timer. Anyway, yeah, it's very exciting having a granddaughter. 3-year-old attacks us, hitting and scratching when we give a consequence. Yeah, that's their process. They're learning. But you see, they think there's a chance that they can change your mind. They're obviously used to being in charge. So just make sure, check out that behavior board. You have to restrain them if they get violent. You have to physically restrain them and then let them go. If they come at you again, say no, hold them again, look away. Do not look at them or talk to them while you're holding them. Do not do that. That's what they want. They want it. They want you engaging with them when they get violent. I would never do that. You're feeding it. So yeah, I would say no, and I'd hold them and I'd look away. And then after a minute or two, whatever, let go. If they come at you again, don't let them do it again. You get them before they do it. But yeah, and then you look away. There's no way I would give them any attention during that. No way. Anyway, you might want to check out my boot camp course. If you got a 3-year-old going for the jugular, you might want to you might want that boot camp course. It'll set you up. It goes from 3 to 12 years old. It's all about you. The parents, someone asked me about the success rate. If you follow it and follow through, it's a huge success rate. I don't have any numbers. It's a huge success rate. But if you don't do it, don't follow through, and you put it off and go like a few weeks before you do week 3 or 4 or whatever, then yeah, you're not going to get the results, because consistency is key. You can stretch it out a little bit. It's a 5-week course. Never, ever make it go faster. I have paced that out. I've been doing this now for 17 years. I've paced it out, and I had a whole bunch of parents going through it with me when I first made that course. It's about 8 months ago now when I first made it, and they agreed it's paced out perfectly. So don't rush it. But you can elongate it by a week or 2, like if you go on vacation or something. Ideally, you don't even want to do that. But it's 5 weeks is pretty much the sweet spot for this. It's about your leadership. It won't be perfectly settled in by then, with older kids especially, but with little ones, it might be. So you could be a leader within 3, 4, 5 weeks with younger children. But with 11, 12-year-olds, it might take you just be consistent after you finish the course. And you can keep that as reference material too. You can keep going back to it, because I've thrown a whole bunch of additional information in there. It's not just here's what you do week to week. It's like, oh, by the way, here's another lesson. Let's how to set up allowance, how to get chores going, different things. Okay. It's killing me. I want to look at that video of my granddaughter. Grandma mode. Okay. Advice on how to get 3-year-old to listen to dad. He only listens to me. Well, maybe he should be doing what you're doing. So, yeah. If they're listening to you and not the other one, then the other one should be following your lead. Yeah. At least they're listening to someone. That's good news. Usually when I'm hired, they're not listening to anyone. That's not true. Sometimes they are listening to one parent, but not the other. And they're quite disrespectful with the other parent. So what that says to me is that one parent they're listening to still is not a really confirmed leader. Because when you're a leader, they wouldn't want to face you after being disrespectful to the other parent. Like in our family, there's usually a leader and a pleaser. If there's a leader, it's usually accompanied by a pleaser. There's nothing wrong with that. But like my mom was the leader, my dad was the pleaser. I was the leader, my ex-husband was the pleaser. But the pleaser has to defer to the leader. Like if my ex-husband took the kids out and they started like pushing him around a little bit, he would say, do you want me to tell mom? And they'd go, oh, never mind, in check right away. So that's a real leader. You don't have to be with them. Their behavior is under your umbrella everywhere they go. Like if they thought they would never get in trouble at school or anything. They just had too much self-respect to do that because they had a leader, right? So, but yeah, if they knew that if they ever did, they wouldn't want to face me, because I would have been so disappointed. I don't come down hard. I come down, oh, I wouldn't expect that from you, sweetie. And they'd be, because they respected me, right? That's the power of leadership. It's not that you're harsh. It's that they just like you so much because you treat them so well. You don't put up with crap either, by the way. Okay. I love you. Keep up the good work. Thank you for all your advice. Oh, you're very welcome. I love what I do. And this is all my free stuff. All my lives and my behavior board are free. And don't send me your general parenting questions on email. I won't even look at them. I don't have time. I'm really busy serving all my clients and that. So, and people who are in my courses too. So, but yeah, I just don't have time for all that. I am trying to get to the comments and messages more, but even that's a struggle right now. So, and no one else can do it for me. That's the thing, is I've got someone who does all my social media, but what they do is if it's a really important message or something, they don't even always see them all, but because I get a lot, and but they will flag it for me if it's something really like a big deal, right? I do specialize in crisis work. Doesn't matter the age. It can be abuse. It can be any of the teen stuff that's life and death stuff. I do specialize in that, but I used to be called the crisis queen I used to do a lot of news and they call me the crisis queen. I hated that. Well, I don't want to be a queen for one thing. And I don't want to specialize in crisis. I want to specialize in, well, I mean, I did, but I don't want to lead with that. I'd rather prevent all that. That's why so many of you on here have little kids. You don't need to have problems in the teen years. You can sail through it like I did. Set yourself up as a leader when they're young. That's what that boot camp course is all about. Set yourself up as a leader and you can sail right through those teen years. Also, never take parenting advice from someone who hasn't finished the job, number one, and that hasn't worked with hundreds of kids with all sorts of challenges. This is experience-based. It's not like a huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, daycare workers, child psychologists. I couldn't do their jobs. Those are institutions. They're business-based, the way they approach children. I'm personal. Parenting is personal. The PhD in this is having finished the job with your own kids, because if you haven't lived with teenagers, you can't teach parenting. How do you know if where you're going is going to pay off down the teen years? I know a lot of what works with younger children backfires in those teen years. A lot backfires, stuff that you wouldn't even think would. But yeah, you got to be very careful. So yeah. Anyway, so those are the two criteria. I'm sure there's lots of other people out there like that who are older, who finished the job and have had tons of experience with hundreds of other kids. It is heavily experience-based. That's all it is. It's personal, because all the kids I worked with, I mothered them. And even when I'm coaching, I'm mothering my clients. It's all parenting. It's just, I don't know, it's just what I love. It's what I do. That's why raising my kids was the most fun I ever had. And because I'm extremely maternal and I need to mother, and yet I'm very much a follower in my personal life, but I love leading children and guiding them and seeing, how great it goes. And I just love all that. But that's why I love my business so much, because I still get to mother all of you guys, because I'm older than all of you. I'm a senior here now. It's great. Okay. I love being in my 60s. Didn't like my 50s. Like my 60s. I think in my 50s, you'll be there one day. In my 50s, I knew I'd hit the bell curve. Now I'm coming down the other side. I've accepted it, and I'm just sliding down. Any tips on the most effective behavior chart? Well, that's my free behavior chart. That's all I know. I've never looked at what anyone else does. Don't ever ask me about what's being taught out there. I never look at it. Why would I? I've never read a book on parenting or kids ever, because all of my advice comes from my own personal experience. Kids taught me all this. And I didn't know what I was doing going in. I was 11 and I started volunteering in daycare centers. And the daycare workers used to ask me how I did that. They said, you get such good behavior out of them, and yet they want to be with you all the time. I didn't know how to answer that. So I kind of had this in me already. I was 11 and I was already leading kids. I started babysitting at 11 too. Not at night, but during the day, like after school stuff. And so, yeah, I've just always kind of found kids fascinating. And I always was trying to meet their needs. Managing their wants was the discipline. That wasn't my focus. I was trying to meet their needs. Their love language is fun. And I knew how to do that. But I also knew how to take it away very quickly and very temporary when they acted out. That's how I did it. Yeah, because I didn't have any leverage. I was just, in a hospital or in a school or in a daycare center, supporting the teachers and all that. So children need, crave, and want leadership desperately. Oh, but how does that really work? That the leader parent is left with all the parenting responsibility? What a great question. I loved it. I didn't want anyone else messing my kids up. I didn't want teachers or anyone else teaching my kids about manners and respect. That was my job. The thing is, when you're good at it, it's a piece of cake. There's no effort whatsoever. None. I never had to discipline my kids. I got respect when they were little, and then I sailed right through the teen years. That's the power in this. You never have to discipline them because they look up to you so much. They're wonderful with you. It's no work. It's pure joy. I loved parenting. It was the most fun I ever had. I got all that pesky discipline and respect, mutual respect. I gave respect to get it. I earned it. I worked for it in those first 3 to 3.5 years. Then it's cemented, and you just have to maintain it. Piece of cake. I didn't want my husband disciplining our kids. That was my thing. They never did anything. Why would they? Because they knew they'd have to face me, and they looked up to me too much. And they liked themselves. They had pride. So yeah, oh God, you want that leadership role. That's the one. You're the one they go to with everything, right through the teen years. You're the one they turn to. They love the other parent as much, but you are the one they go to. I adored my father, but my mom was the one I told everything to. She was the leader. I told my mom everything, and my kids told me everything. They loved their dad, but they told me everything. So there could have been some secrets here and there, but nothing really. That they pretty much said they told me everything. So yeah. Anyway, why would you want to relinquish that? It's a wonderful relationship to have with your children. It's fun. What time is it? Oops, I got to go. I got a client session coming up in 10 minutes. I got to get ready for that. So thanks so much for joining me. And check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. That is all paced out, 5 weeks teaching you how to be a leader, 3 to 12 years old. And then you can hire me for coaching. I shouldn't have said that. You can look up coaching and send me an email if you'd like to know more and tell me why you want to hire me, because I can't take everyone on these days. But you're in a queue. If I don't get to your email right away, I will eventually. If you're in crisis, write that. And crisis is life and death stuff. If you're in something horrible stuff with your teenager or a child who's been abused in some way or something like that, then put that down in the subject line and you'll get first priority. And past clients often rehire me because other things come up. They get second priority after the crisis work. So, but the rest of you, I'll fit you in, and it'll be in a queue. So you'll get the next, your emails all sort of in a queue. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. And yeah, that's it. Happy parenting. Bye now.